What you're looking at here is all completely computer generated. So this person does not exist at all. I first came across artificial intelligence probably 12 months ago, really. It surprised me how easy it was actually to find the information I needed to find in order to learn how to make AI for myself. With this app, you have to upload 15 to 30 photographs of yourself. And I can go through to any of these packs that I want to and make myself any of these images. So these are some of the images that I made of myself from the featured theme pack, which is called Black Lace. This is the body it's come up with for me. So this is the default. That's not what I look like at all. That's not my body shape at all. One of the most disturbing things that I noticed in my research around women's images being used for AI purposes is the heaviness of the male gaze. It's sort of like the anime version of what men think women should look like. So to get the most realistic images of myself, I have to go back in and prompt it to make it look more real. So that's my AI trained to be curvier and have more natural skin folds and things like that. The last thing I ever thought I would ever be is an AI expert. That I had to learn it in order to undo it. So trending now is black leather. It's my Halloween outfit maybe this year. This new AI technology, I really feel like it's taken us back 20 years because all the hard won fights we've had to get to this point in time where true inclusion is finally being represented, and to have that overtaken now and not even not have real human diversity but no real humans is just, I can't even, it's a cataclysmic step backwards in time.
So we'll do some nice soft smiles to begin with.
Yeah, perfect.
So gorgeous. When I first started working in this industry, there was no real inclusion at all. Everybody that was supposed to be representative of society was a 5'9", white, normally blonde or maybe brunette woman.
Yeah, lovely.
And they were always a size 8 to a maximum of size 10.
I love that. Yes.
And over the last 20 years, we've made huge inroads into size diversity, into ethnic inclusion, into the use of models with different abilities and disabilities.
What I think is so amazing is that change happens from real people.
Yes. If you want to see change, you have to create
Yes.
it.
Yes.
You can't just yell at other people to do
That's
it.
right.
Chelsea, she's always trying to fix things that are broken. She's been put, aside so often, because so often, our bodies weren't shown in media. So often we were shoved aside, or so often we were told that we were fat, basically.
I think together we've really changed that.
Beautiful, love, gorgeous.
And yet we're going to this new territory where we're going to be fighting to use a human being in a campaign. That's going to be the next fight.
Wait, stop. This girl does not exist. She is fake.
So when I first started looking into AI in my industry specifically, I thought it'd be about saving jobs. And then I realised that it's just so much more than that. Everybody is affected by this. I could scan that now and train the AI on your face. I could do a whole campaign in London using your face and selling lipstick, and you'd probably never find out. My mum was a top model of her time. She had a really, really good career and, she was always really in demand.
That was one of my first.
How old were you?
About 19, I think. I did my own makeup and hair for those.
Yeah. Being on set for me is like a second home. When I was a baby, Mum took me to all those shoots with her.
I used to take you with me in your little stroller.
And my dad was a really famous actor. And as I got older, I went to my dad's movie sets with him.
Back in that period, Skippy was not only the biggest show in this country, it was the most successful show internationally ever.
My parents were the golden couple of Australia when I was growing up. They were on the cover of every magazine and, you know, paparazzi followed them everywhere. We used to call them Ken and Barbie. Couldn't get two more perfect-looking people, really. It was disturbing. All the boys wanted to date my mum, and all the girls would just nearly faint when Dad walked into the room. He could barely drop us at school because he would get, the parents would be like going, "Oh my God, it's Tony Warner." I think the strongest memory I have of my childhood was waiting for the phone every afternoon. One of my parents would have to be home between 4:30 and 5:30 every day to get their call from their agents. So they knew what jobs they were doing next week, tomorrow. And it was like all time stopped in that hour.
Tony was always very, can't be on the phone. Who are you talking to? How long will you be? I'm waiting for a call.
It could be the best news ever, and then the whole house would be, you know, like, woohoo! Or it could be, you know, really bad, and that would totally change the mood in the house, you know. So just early on, I wanted to be the person who was in control of that mood, I guess. I knew very early on I wanted to be an agent. I wanted to be the person that got to give the good news, but I also wanted to be the person who could break the bad news gently, because that was the hardest part. According to the outside world, we were supposed to be the perfect blonde hair, blue-eyed Australian family. And it wasn't necessarily so you felt a bit deceitful.
No. Fill it up. Are you sure, son?
Dad was a binge drinker, so he didn't drink daily, but when he drank, he drank.
My drinking period did affect the family because I wouldn't be there. I mean, if I could stay out, I did.
Dad was one of those drunks, you know, that they call them blackout drunks. So they do all these crazy things and they have absolutely no memory of it. Everyone just played their role on how to handle it. Chelsea took charge of looking after us in a way. She was just a peacemaker and she was the older sister and you felt safe.
Harry.
Buggy. All credit to Dad, you know, he gave up drinking 27 years ago and hasn't touched a drop since.
Yeah, so what are you up to today?
Oh, I'm teaching this afternoon, so...
He's tried really hard to make amends and you have to admire someone who does that because a lot of people wouldn't. But then, you know, you're left with the battle scars. They're still there. When puberty hit, just everything changed because overnight I got these boobs. Everything started to get much curvier than it was before. And I started to notice a difference between my shape and Mum's shape.
And I remember looking at Chelsea one day and going, wow, look at that figure. She had the most beautiful hourglass figure.
I decided to go to an adult modelling agency to see if they would take me.
I think that's when she realised that there's an industry there that looks at you differently.
And they said I was too curvy and needed to lose weight. I think it was the first time you sort of have that realisation that, oh, hang on, there's roadblocks here. Then other people started making comments about, oh, you'd be so beautiful if you just lost a few pounds. One night, I was walking down the street and I was surrounded by a group of men that just oinked at me. Like I was, trying to say, I'm a pig, I'm a fat pig, you know. Just the judgment, just the amount of judgment, you know, and the comparison, constant comparisons to my sister and my mum. People's comments about my size started a cycle of, of self-abuse, really. Abuse of food, abuse of prescription drugs to, help me starve myself. I started drinking really young. I left school at around 15. I was just so angry. I was so angry at the situation, at the world. And I remember being in tears with her so many times, just like, you're going to die, what are you doing to yourself? There was a moment in my life where I could have easily gone either way. I woke up on the floor of my bathroom in the middle of winter after drinking all night. I really thought to myself, this is ridiculous. Get it together. You're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting everybody around you. That is not who I want to be, and I am just going to find a way to make my life work. After working really hard and working every contact I had and Mum had and Dad had, I finally got a position as, a junior in a modelling agency.
With any models, you need to be their psychologist, you need to be their father, their mother, and you need to be their business consultant as well. It's a natural talent, and Chelsea has that natural talent.
Good, beautiful, yeah.
So through my job, I started to notice there was a demand for bigger models, which are called plus-size models, and that's anyone over a size 14. It was really good money, so I started doing some modelling on the side.
The sad thing about plus-size modelling back in those days was you were the token fat chick. You were only brought in because you were big. You weren't brought in because you were beautiful.
I noticed there was a huge difference between how they would dress us and how the size 6 girl sitting next to me, she would get made up to look all beautiful and fresh and young and glowy. And I'd be made up to look as old and dowdy as I possibly could look.
And unfortunately, what they thought their target market was skivvies.
I decided to set up a modelling agency for models who represent 80% of the women in this country, so models over a size 10.
Morning.
When almost every model is a size 6 to 8, maybe a 10.
Yeah, sure.
It's a massive gap. I don't think there's anything she can do. My mission from the start has been to try to close that gap. I think there's room for everybody. So they've moved that whole thing out till April. Yeah.
She's been told so many times it's not going to happen. You'll never see a plus-size model, having a hair contract or be on the front page of a magazine.
They come and they go.
I didn't have any expectations of being financially successful from it. It was never about making money. It was about trying to change ideas.
We're going for sort of a very natural, glowy skin, youthful sort of look.
One of the first things I did when I started the agency was to hire the top photographers and hair and makeup artists in fashion that I could find to shoot curve models in a way that was fashionable.
Right, beautiful.
She was getting photographers to actually shoot her girls to show the industry that you don't have to be a frumpy person because you're a plus size. I've been running Bella for quite a few years and we were doing very well. I had an art director ring me and say, I'd met this girl at a casting the other day and she was really beautiful, but she's clearly curvy. So I've suggested that she come in to meet you.
This was my last shot, in my opinion. I was like, if she doesn't sign me, then I'm just going to quit and just continue just travelling the world and just doing my own thing.
And she came in and I was sitting in my chair and I went, oh my golly gosh, she is extraordinary. I immediately could see where she was going to go and that she was going to be the bridge between fashion and you know, curve or plus modelling. She would be the visual articulation of what I was trying to express.
Just make sure you get lots of rest.
It's just like, don't change anything, you know, you're perfect as is. You're gonna travel the world, you're gonna do so good. This is just the beginning. And I was like, pull the other leg. I've been told this all before. As soon as Robin walked out of the meeting, I rang my mum.
She said, Mama, I've just found the new supermodel of the world.
Not plus-size supermodel, supermodel.
I remember booking my first real big Cosmo editorial and how much of a big deal that was back then. But to get the foot in the door, it took Chelsea non-stop calling.
We're going to turn now to the woman they call the plus-size wonder from down under. Robin Lawley was the first plus-size model to appear in the pages of Vogue Australia.
I got called a pig, I got called hefty. It's fine. I'm really confident and I love my body as it is. But it was a shock,
We need women to say that.
I consider ourselves game changers, yes, and a lot has changed. I think in 10 years, an industry has blossomed and we've finally seen what the power of diversity can bring. But now I'm fighting diversity in a whole different realm. It's bizarre. I did not see this coming, and it's come so quick.
About mid-last year, Chelsea told me that there are clients saying, oh, we're not using live models anymore, we're using AI. I could see instantly how it was going to change her industry.
One of the first introductions I had to how it could be used in our industry was Levi's, who said that they could introduce more diversity into their advertising campaigns by using fake AI humans instead of just booking diverse talent. No one would have picked up on it if they didn't decide to proudly use it as a branding exercise in, oh, isn't this great? We've got this new technology where we can make all of our models diverse. And they were rightly getting, ribbed about it in the press.
I couldn't believe that it actually happened because it was a brand I really loved. That doesn't seem like diversity to me. That seems like the opposite. Why not just hire, a different model? Why do it through a digital blackface? And I think it's going to take over a lot of jobs very quickly. The photographers aren't hired, the makeup artists aren't hired, the hairstylists aren't hired, the studio isn't hired, the film crew isn't hired. The whole industry isn't hired all of a sudden. It's not just one model trying to make a buck, it's a whole industry is going to suddenly collapse.
Hi.
Hey. How are you? Good, how are you going?
And I started researching, well, who's doing something about this?
It's actually just going to crush the trust of the general public in what they're seeing. And
you can't trust any image.
And then Robin called me and she said, I've just written an article about AI. I said, well, funny about that, because I've just finished doing a whole heap of research about it. And I've just read a book called Man-Made by Tracy Spicer.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
It was hard to read, but really important, I think, to understand the scope of AI.
Yeah, after reading your book and seeing how many industries are actually going to be affected by it, I was terrified.
As you go down this rabbit hole, you realise that there's hundreds of thousands of these fake women out there on the internet, and there's no rules, there's no laws, there's no stoppages, there's no content warnings, there's nothing.
Yeah. But honestly, I did not think for a second that it would be the talking point that it is this year, for example. It's really come into the public consciousness.
Yeah, I think because it's advanced so much, so quickly.
That's right.
So...
While people were looking the other way and governments were looking the other way.
Yes.
Legislation is not keeping up with the technology. Our futures are being created by a small group of predominantly young white men in Silicon Valley who are creating a future that looks good for them but not for everybody else.
I was really surprised to see how easy it was to take anyone's image off the internet and make a nude photo from it. It's terrifying.
Yes.
And I imagine if this was done to you without your consent, you'd feel violated.
You can't tell that that's not really you. So if that ends up on, you know, on the Daily Mail, everyone will believe that's you.
A lot of these apps will sexualise those images of women and girls without me even asking it to do that. We saw an example with the MP in Victoria, Georgie Purcell, where the Adobe Photoshop generative AI tool gave her more of a midriff and made her breasts slightly bigger. This is like airbrushing on steroids.
All of the AIs are generated using real people's photographs that they have scraped without any permission. They've data scraped billions of photos across every possible social media site that you can think of in order to train the AIs to look human.
You could have your image stolen and not even know about it. The algorithm creates what it says is a unique image from this, but it's a breach of copyright, billions of times over.
So Midjourney is a website that you can go on and you can type in, say, my name, Robin Lawley, sitting on a couch. You could get that image. You could also type in me doing weirder stuff. You can go on Midjourney and type in Robin Lawley dressed up in a panda suit. She looks like me, but she's not me. So they can use it and they can, as much as they want, because it's not identical to me, but it's a version of me.
From a legal point of view, generative AI is creating all sorts of disruptions. In most cases, what generative AI produces is not a direct copy, which means it's not clear who owns the original data or whether the new images infringe copyright. If the resemblance is only slight, not perfect, they may have very few opportunities for complaint.
This is a very weird ground that we're entering, where your image can literally just be stolen and taken, and people can do anything they want with it. And I think this is about time the government got a bit involved with it.
There is currently no AI-specific legislation, so there's nothing protecting the general public from knowing whether we're looking at something that is real or not. So once I realised how few laws we had to protect us, I asked Tracy and Robin if they would join me in launching a petition. I couldn't think of any other way to sort of galvanise people. And after a 3-month campaign, we've got nearly 14,000 signatures, which is pretty amazing. And now that will go to an MP who'll take it into House of Representatives.
What do these women have in common? They're online models with more than 1 million followers combined, and they're made from stolen images of real women.
A week or two after we launched the petition, I got a call from ABC News Investigations, Kevin and Michael over there, who were working on a story about fake influencer accounts. And so we spent the next month swapping notes, swapping contacts. Hello. So nice to meet you in person, finally. Helping each other get to the bottom of how these AI people are being made and who's behind them.
We'd seen a little bit about AI models in tabloids, and so we thought we'd better dig into it and work out who's actually behind this and what's going on.
You sent us down a very, very deep rabbit hole.
I'm sorry.
No,
But you know what? It's nice to have company down there because it's pretty dark.
It's not a...
It gets confusing.
When we first spoke, I think you identified something that I don't think Michael and I ever expected to be a big thing. Which is where you don't take their face, but you take their body. And that becomes a lot more legally murky and grey.
So I think you sent us this video.
I finally found it, guys. The easiest way to create your own AI influencer. Yes, it is.
What you're doing is you're taking someone else's content and you're repurposing it, obviously for your own gain.
Don't you find that a lot of the press so far around that has been a bit like, hey, isn't this great? Because we can just create fake people now and monetize them.
What's absent from that is how they actually do that, which is the mass harvesting of someone else's image or videos.
And now it's up to you. Build your own AI influencer and start monetizing your swaps.
People deserve to know whether the images they're seeing, the words they're reading are real or created by bots. That's a human right in a transparent democracy.
The beginning of this is labelling it. Any image uploaded onto social media or on the internet has to have an AI warning label on it. Social media companies we've seen over many years now, we cannot trust them to self-regulate.
The Australian government at the moment is thinking about how it regulates AI. We don't want dangerous images online. Our E-Safety Commissioner is doing a really good job there. But as we move from overtly dangerous or pornographic images to images that bend, twist or manipulate the truth, how we regulate becomes actually more difficult. But we really need to recognise the moral rights of the creative industries, the moral rights of humans to their own images, and then take the conversation from there in coming up with a solution.
Once we've got all the models and talent uploaded, so they use the 3D technology to scan the model and then turn it into an avatar. I don't think that AI should be used to replicate a human being at all. I just find that fundamentally wrong. But on the other side of that, the horse has bolted. And so I've been developing an application where the AI people, real human beings who own the copyright to their own image. We've gotten to the pointy end with it, how to make sure that everybody gets paid. So the models, the photographers, the stylists, the hair and makeup artists.
You can make your avatar real. You could have your moles and freckles, and you could have you as a person. I think if you've had the chance to create it and label it so people know that it's an avatar version of you, then you have power over what company is using it and how they're using it.
I think having a product that's competitive but ethical is the only way to beat them at their own game.
Absolutely.
Trying to convince most of our clients not to use AI is just the financial aspect of it and how much money they can save. It's just too attractive for them. So we've tried to find a way where they can utilise that same technology but in an ethical way and know that they are contributing still to society.
Hey, Buckle.
Good morning.
Miss Maria.
Hello, Mr. Bonner. How are you?
So how's the battle going?
We're starting to get a lot of support, which is amazing.
She's not just trying to protect her own business, she's trying to protect the creative industry as a whole.
Do you ever think you'd see anything like this in your lifetime?
No, I have to be honest.
No.
I didn't think I'd see digital.
True.
This is affecting you directly and your children. What images are they going to look at and think, is this a human? Should I compare my body to this body?
I know what you're like, and the opponent won't be happy with you or on their case.
Without rules, without governance, this technology can very quickly get out of control, and we just can't allow that to happen.
It's, like I said, people, be careful, watch out. You have no idea what you're looking at.